Catherine Clark was just a little girl when she first met the Queen. She's the daughter of former Prime Minister Joe Clark. Catherine saw the Queen a few times as a child, but this one stands out. And Catherine Clark joins us from Ottawa. Catherine, tell us about that encounter with the Queen when you were 10 years old.
Well, Ian, as you know, I had a somewhat unusual childhood in that I grew up in a fairly adult world. I was an only child, so I was super portable, which means I went to a lot of events and receptions and frankly summits with my parents. And in this particular case, we were at the 1987 Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit meeting in Vancouver, and there was a reception for the Queen, and she came into the room and said hello, was greeted by dignitaries, and then she came to me and she said, "Why aren't you in school?" And I said, well, you know, my teachers thought that having a chance to spend some time with the Queen was a pretty good excuse to miss some classes, so that's why I'm here. And we chatted for a little while longer, and she was lovely and gracious and interested in my activities and such, and then she moved along. And I did what I normally did, which was to request permission to then go leave the reception and go anywhere, wandering the halls of the hotel. But I was told by my mom that I couldn't, because protocol dictated that you had to stay in the room until the Queen left. She had to leave first. So I found the chair closest to the door, and I sat waiting, and suddenly I heard a voice saying, "Are you still here?" And I looked up and it was the Queen. And I said to her, "Yes, I am, because I can't leave until you leave, so I'm waiting for you to leave." And thank gosh she didn't find that insulting. She found it amusing, and she said, "Well, then shall we leave together?" And we did. We walked out and chatted on the way to the elevator, and then we were both free. So it's a story that reminds me very much that she was not just a queen and a woman of grace and decorum and dignity and diplomacy, but she was every inch a human being too.
So all of that clearly had a big impression on the 10-year-old version of you, but how did your view evolve over time?
You know, my respect for her has only grown, because as a child, I respected the fact that she treated me with respect, because not everyone treats children with the attentiveness that she did. But as I've watched her as I've grown older and watched how she managed to juggle such immense responsibilities while also maintaining a healthy and strong marriage, raising her children, being present for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and the fact that she adapted with the times, which must have been so difficult. You know, I understand that she got a mobile phone so that she could keep in touch with her grandkids more easily. I think back to the videos that she did with Harry for the Invictus Games, poking fun at President and Mrs. Obama, at the fact that she allowed 007 into Buckingham Palace for the video that then saw her do the jump into the stadium for the Olympics. She was an extraordinary person who took risks and who adapted and changed with the times, even if it was tough, and I respect that so much.
You obviously had such a connection to her, and I'm curious how you reacted to the news of her passing.
I was so deeply saddened. In fact, it was my kids who told me. They were getting the news firsthand and texting me. I was so saddened. It was a shock, because it felt like she was just part of our global fabric and always would be. But she lived an extraordinary life, and now we're able to celebrate that life even with sadness in our hearts.
Catherine, thank you very much for sharing your perspective.
Thank you, Ian.